quick one for me. If all had been well, ladies and gentlemen, I would have had my new book with me tonight. My first collection, 10 years in the writing, I finally committed myself to the page. I've got a new book out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in danger at the minute of not having books for my book launch in Manchester in a couple of weeks' time, so I certainly haven't got one for tonight. But it's called Sex and Love and Rock and Roll, which is pretty much what I like about it, yeah. So we've had some love in these poems, love in all its senses, love as a force to change the world as well as sort of romantic love. How about if we finish on sex and rock and roll? Does that sound like a plan? Yeah? Sex, Love and Rock and Roll, subtitle, it's all about coming together and changing the world. Yeah? I've not brought my books, but I've left some cards at the back there, and they call me Longfellow, for reasons you can see, Tony Walsh Longfellow. And my website is www.longfellow.co.uk. Do not go on longfellow.com. That's a very different website. But if you want to grab a few cards at the end there, maybe hook up and look out for my book in a few weeks' time. So we've had love, sex and rock and roll to finish. Here we go. This is a warning, ladies and gentlemen, not to mix the triple evils of our time, which, as we all know, are sex, the internet, and confectionery. Don't mix them, it'll end in tears. There's a poem called www.walnutwhipped. Don't need to write it down, so I'll give you a address again. Write it down here. walnutwhipped.co.uk. Goes like this. She looked for men in pick and mix, and hooked them when she licked their twigs. She poked inside my pack-a-mac and stroked behind my knackersack. That's the form of the RSC, ladies and gentlemen. Poked behind my knackersack. As we repaired to a hotel room, I was not prepared for a total loon who'd hushed my lips with gaffer tape and brushed my nips with Jaffa cakes. She fixed me down with licorice laces, licked around my ticklish places. My chest was oiled with urine. Piss. My vest was spoiled during this. I said, Jesus, you're a total nutter. She greased us up with cocoa butter and stuffed my arse with M&Ms. A fudge, a Mars, and midget gems. She dressed up as a big fat monkey. Stressed us with a Kit Kat chunky. The spotted dick inside her nick is a topic of Twix and a deep fried Snickers. She clipped off all my short and curlies. Whipped my balls with curly whirlies. She went a little crazy next. She knelt and we had nasal sex. And then I spied her mate, you know, he's hiding tapes and videos, and now my shame is viewed online. My name is Googled all the time, it takes 1 million hits a day. They'll make £1 billion quid that way. But my ring still gives a constant crunch from the things she did with Monster Munch, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, final pause for me, thank you very much. I'd like to thank Apples and Snakes and Radical Words and the Northern Stage for organising tonight in Newcastle. Let me say it for those guys. Stick around for the band, and thanks to Andy, and Gene Winterbridge is going to be absolutely fantastic in the second half, as well as the other poets. Okay, listen, final point for me. We've had love, we've had sex, rock and roll. We've got any music fans here in the North East? Yeah? Okay, I come from a music town. So this poem is about the power of music to move the human soul like few other things. I caught the tail end of punk. I was hanging around the back of Manchester Apollo when I was 13, 14, so that did it for me. If that's not your thing, then as I say, it's just about the power of music to move us like few other things. I need your help, Newcastle, at the beginning and at the end of this poem. Will you do that for me, please? Yeah! Wrong answer, will you do that for me, please? Yeah! Okay, here we go, rock and roll. Brothers and sisters, do you believe in rock and roll? Say, I believe! I believe! Say, I believe! I believe! Yeah, I believe that rock and roll can blow the mind and free the soul, can culturally revolutionise and change a generation's lives. Because my life was saved, age 17, by the greatest band I've ever seen. From my maddest, baddest, wettest dream, they were bite me nightly, gutter fuck queens. In leather pants and cheap cosmetics, smack addicted fag aesthetics, email, female, she-male dudes who left the teenage boys confused, looking like they fell from Mars as partial Martian superstars. Yet it put the devil's finest tunes and killer through their attitudes with every truth you felt or heard. To music from another world, they mashed it to a heady brew, a hoodie voodoo guru, to a rock and roll and garage punk and stacked soul and ghetto funk, and nothing's as fantastic as iconoclastic spastic jazz with holy poetry's sympathies and Satan's finest symphonies. Then it was front page, outrage, gutter punk, but they splattered it with blood and spunk and sweat and snot and spit and bile and sprayed it. 40,000 miles they took a tiny stage, put it on a tiny stage, amped it through a speaker stack and made the fucking planet crack. And yes, it ended in a mess of drug arrests, early deaths and lawsuits over royalties and madness and disloyalties and tarnished, varnished trophy wives. I used to be somebody. Lives. But that don't mean a thing to me. I close my eyes and I can see them standing on a tiny stage, personifying teenage rage, pumped up with amphetamine and pumping pure adrenaline. That haunted, howling, shouting face, the awesome sounding pounding makes a primal travel Bible beat to brain and balls and heart and feet, that thundered to your very soul and made your parents' heads explode. The faces from a bedroom wall, the faces who changed all the guys who revolutionised, liberate, politicise, and told generations' lives, a legacy that never dies. From tough estates to trailer parks, they chose we fucking should reach the stars. And the best thing I was ever shown was fuck the rule book, write your own. And the message was to liberate, unite, emancipate the poor and poorest of this world, the left out, stressed out boys and girls, to black and white and straight and gay. They showed there is another way. They taught us that by questioning together, we'll change everything. And everything we're told is theirs, is there for all the world to share. Now, is that unbelievable or something quite conceivable? Do you find that feasible or something quite unreasonable? Do you believe that rock and roll can blow the mind and free the soul? Now it's time to take a poll in Newcastle. Make some noise for rock and roll. Make some noise for rock and roll. Make some noise for rock and roll. Say, I believe. Say, I believe. Say, I believe. Or what bop, baloo bop, or what bamboo. My name's Tony Walsh. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Cheers.